Hi guys, I hope you guys are all doing very well. As you can tell, it's not light outside. I usually film these around between 1 and like 4:30 or so, 5. But this day got the best of me. I have my SAT on Tuesday, so I was doing SAT prep all day, practicing and taking some SAT tests, SAT practice tests, and other fun stuff. But I'm here. And I'm excited to share with you guys how this day has gone. I know yesterday I didn't really get to discuss with you guys. YouTube is a pain sometimes and lets you only upload a specific section. And I was going to try and break it into 2 parts for yesterday because it was a really lengthy one. It was about 25 minutes or so because there was a lot to discuss. But YouTube said, nope, nope, can't do that. So I didn't do that. So, alright, so today is Saturday, April 24th, 2021, and let's jump into our motivational quotes. So, as always, you see these on Instagram and you see them on Facebook. Actually, I think it's more convenient doing it this way. Like, just having the setup the way it is, because I can just look at my phone and pull up the quote instead of having to, like, tell it to you and you get a visual. But the quote for today, I'll read it and then I'll show you, is courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is that little voice at the end of the day that says, I'll try again tomorrow. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. Oh yeah, it works this time. Maybe it's just I need to film at night, but courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the little voice at the end of the day that says, I'll try again tomorrow. Your courage and your perseverance kind of ties together as one. It's not always about the, how do I put this? It's not always about like the perseverance, and it's not always about the courage. Because yeah, that's important, but it's also important that your courage withstands your perseverance, and they're two separate things sometimes, and sometimes they work closely together. But you have to just make the most of it, you know? Sometimes there are days where you're going to have those bad days, and you're just not going to want to do anything. You're going to want to sit around, do nothing. You're going to want to sit on the couch and watch Grey's Anatomy. Guilty. But those are the days that teach us that, yeah, today wasn't our best day, but the next day will be the day that we look forward to and that we continue to move forward in, that we persevere, and that we continue to travel down this road, down this path, to persevere ourselves and to push ourselves forward with the confidence of the little voice in our head that always is telling us something, like good conscience, bad conscience. I got the little shoulder thing, like it's like, I'm the angel and I'm the devil and this is the good thing and this is the bad thing. We always have those moments too, but it's also, part of it is taking a moment to step back and reflect, like the sea says, because I love the sea so much. Step back and reflect. Say, okay, what can I do from the little voice that's in my head that's going to tell me, do I listen to the bad guy? Do I listen to the good guy? Or do I just not listen to any of it and I take a break? And that's okay. So, yeah. Okay, we have a lot to discuss. I literally made a list. That's my home screen. But I made a list on my phone. I made a list on my phone in my notes section here. I can't see that. But I made a list of things I wanted to talk about today. So I'm going to start by talking about what would have been in yesterday's. So yesterday, I wanted to kind of discuss, first of all, like Grey's Anatomy fans, I would love to discuss that. But I wanted to discuss like just the ABC lineup for the Grey's Anatomy, for Station 19, and for Rebel. All really good. I gotta wait 2 weeks because the NFL draft is next Thursday from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. So it's during that time, allotted time that airs Station 19, Grey's, and Rebel, which is the new series, which I recommend. So it's not for another 2 weeks. So May 6th will be the next ones that we see. But Station 19 kind of surrounded about Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and his death. And I'm so glad that they aired around the time that his prosecutor was trialed and is guilty on all 3 accounts. A lot of my friends and I were talking about that. And we were saying how, if he wasn't guilty, we were all gonna go out and kind of protest that, because that's like a huge deal. But it's a huge deal. Finally, it's unfortunately, George Floyd had to die to receive that justice. And that's not okay. So, and it's the way that society is too, which is so sad, is that we have these like divides and barriers, and I know we don't talk about that, but we have privilege too. In my Triton psychology class, child psychology specifically, we're currently talking about privilege, specifically white privilege. Myself and anybody who literally, based on the color of our skin, so white versus black versus African American versus Latino, Hispanic, whatever it is, we are split into these groups, as in white privilege versus everybody else, just based on skin color alone, which let alone is racial discrimination. And we were talking about that in my child psychology class this week, how especially this week, there was another shooting this week of a little girl, and she was unarmed. She had nothing on her. The police saw her, thought that she was a threat, walking down the street, and this poor little girl had to put her hands up and stand there. She didn't do anything. She was walking down the street, and she just went like this, because that's what she was taught to do by her parents. Her parents, and every single person who's not white, has been taught, when a police officer pulls you over, or anything, or they catch you, or they see you doing something, you immediately have to pull over, or stop what you're doing, put your hands on the wheel, ask for permission for everything. And it's sad. It's so sad. It's so sad that society is like that. We've come to a point where there's this divided line, and there always has been, but specifically after the deaths of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, this little girl this past week, notice none of them were white. None of them were even asked like a white person or questioned. They were just shot down. And they were doing what they were taught to do. And so, kind of tying back to it, like, the white privilege that I have, like, I don't have to worry about being pulled over and being shot. I don't have to worry about being discriminated against because I'm white. I don't have to worry about being questioned of my educational status because I'm white. And there's so many things that, because I was born white, that I'm not questioned for. Yet if I was born black, or if I was from another racial or ethnic minority, I would be criticized for those things. And those are all involuntary. It's not like I can come out of the womb and go, yeah, I'm white. Like, that's not how that works. And so, tying back to it, the entire Station 19 episode focused around Black Lives Matter. And so, it was just very powerful to watch. I was crying the entire hour. And then we kind of go over, but I was crying the entire hour. It was very emotional. In terms of, what was I talking about? Oh, Grey's Anatomy. So, with Grey's Anatomy, I keep thinking she's gonna go in here. In terms of Grey's Anatomy, what happened in Grey's Anatomy? Oh, we finally got our beach wedding. Don't watch this portion, by the way, if you've seen Grey's Anatomy. But we finally got our beach wedding. Beach wedding. Okay, I don't want to go too far into Grey's Anatomy though, but that one was also very powerful because I have a lot of people of the 3 shows mainly watch Grey's, so I don't want to go full into it if you haven't watched it yet. But it was good. Derek, I was very happy. And Zola, oh my god, we finally got to see Zola. She doesn't get a lot of scenes, but the scenes she gets are so powerful. And so I really enjoyed watching Grey's Anatomy. And then, so I won't go too far into it, but that was good too. And then there's Rebel. And so Rebel is the newest series of the Grey's 19 lineup. And so that's on right after Grey's. That's actually really good. But poor Cruz, and I know nobody watches this one, but just bear with me. And if you do, great, we'll talk about it. But poor Cruz, like, his poor wife died. And like we found out in the very first episode, his poor wife died from accidental overdose, but she really did because she was in so much pain. And this is all fictional, by the way. This is not like a real life thing. But, well, no, I mean, there's some storylines that are actually revolved around this couple's life, but not the first three. But, you know, he had so much emotional stress and turmoil. And then the plaintiff, so in a court case, was his wife's sister. So he's like the uncle to those kids, and the wife's sister, Rebel. That's her name, Annie Bello Rebel. She calls herself Rebel. Her daughter, Cassidy Ray, is a lawyer, and she went to work for her dad, which then threw this entire case up in the air because it was plaintiff versus defense, and this conflict of interest because she knew both sides, if that makes sense. So, like, she was part of both sides. She was part of the Julian Cruz's side, and then also her dad's side. So it was a conflict of interest. And so that was the entire episode, and he had so much stress and turmoil at the end of the episode that he collapsed to the floor, clutching his heart, and he had a heart attack. So he was very, very, very stressed, and so